You know how it is. We're back with that ZVZ set. We've got actually a lot more games that were casted. I think most of them were very short in another set entirely. This time, though, back to I think the longer games. We'll see. We're going back to Derelict for this one. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever the fuck. I just say Christmas because if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're missing out, dude. Shambler in the top right, Hamster in the bottom left. Rematch of the spawns that we had in the past. Always good to see that. And yeah, I'm mostly looking forward to how the meta evolves in ZVZ because obviously we're not at the cap of skill. But as of right now, with our current crop of players that play Zerg, I don't think it's nearly as bad as StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2. And I guess if you want to be in an objective sense, I don't think StarCraft 2 is nearly as good of a game as Brood War. And obviously I think Brood War itself could have a lot of improvements, so that's not necessarily saying it's like godlike. You know, I don't think it's all that stellar. Definitely has a lot of holes in it in terms of design. And maybe CMBW does too, but you know, we're trying to figure those holes out, right? Whereas Brood War at this point is just going to be static forever, and that's fine too. It's clearly it's the best that we've had for a long time, right? It's the best RTS product out there. But generally speaking, I think StarCraft 2's Zerg versus Zerg might have more strategic diversity in it. With the caveat that, I mean, I'm talking about absolute pro level, right? But with the caveat that it's kind of interesting to me how lately we've started to see a lot more ZVZ riffing between pros, where they've started to sort of discover that, oh shit, you can not go straight into Muta. And then there's like some people who go Devour and some people who just go straight up to, you know, Ultralisk and stuff. Like, I know that was only like 1 or 2 games. But yeah, it was pretty crazy to see some of those matches in the most recent ASL, for example. I think there was only 2, but that's way more than it had been before. That did something a little bit more, you know, had a little bit more of a deviation. But speaking of, it looks like these players are going to handshake and do the same kind of thing. Now, the one deviation is going to come here when Shambler decides to take a macro hatch, because he obviously has a lot of extra minerals. But over here, Hamster has decided to get some Vespene, and just for the 1 pair of Nats, it looks like, or 2 pairs of Nats, actually. And we've got the Burrowed Workers at each other's bases, at each other's chokes, right? And technically you can move up here, but it's very unlikely that you would. Maybe somebody should try to do that, though. Maybe somebody should try to sneak over here. Now, they'll fly over his own worker, and there is only the 2 Quasis, and he has another pair. So he should just go in and commit and kill these Quasis, yeah. Shambler's going to get absolutely shit-canned here if he's not careful. And turns out he's not careful. Now, he has 1 more pair hatching, but he needs to worry about this situation, right? The presents giving themselves away, that's probably an easy fix. Yeah, fuck that Hatcheros. So, yeah, at this point, the problem is that this is going to be a Spraith, so this is limited damage, but it's still forcing out a lot of reactions and getting worker kills, right? Down, now up by 4 workers at this point, and all the lost mining time as well is definitely something to keep in mind. Ooh, he almost got out with all of his Nats, too, which would have been insult to injury. Now, it looks like Hamster will take a macro hatch. Now, he did, or rather an expansion, he did sacrifice to pull that out. And yeah, he's asking. So, he's nice enough to tell him, right? I guess these are practice games in that sense. So, you know, it's not a bad play. It's just you need to be able to move out from it. And obviously the double hatch here. I feel like he could have done a lot more damage with that, right? He could have chased down the Quasis a bit faster. It's a little bit awkward to use the Nathricor, but if you right-click to the, say like the unit is moving this way, right? Or even if they're stationary, and you right-click a little bit, if you're coming in from the right, you right-click to the left, you issue a move command to the left of the unit so that your unit moves on top of them, and then you right-click on the unit to attack it, or like a move or whatever. That would be a point where they can do something, I think. That basically short-circuits the failure to actually attack. Because when the unit is moving away, sometimes the Nathricor can actually give chase really well. Same for the Gorgorcore, actually. But yeah, when they're stationary, they have a bit more of a problem. So it's the 5 Quasis that survived the early onslaught. We've got 2 more pairs coming and a Hydrith Den. That's an interesting change. Obviously, Hamster will have access to more Vespene because he has access to... For one, he has map control to go to the middle of the map if he wants to. For another, he obviously has the ability, if he wants to... It looks like one of the gnats got caught here. He has the ability to harvest from this gas because his hatch is already done. He does also have a macro hatch, so he is actually up in production for, you know, that's kind of usual so far in these games, right? The last game being the primary sample size. But the gas is usually huge because you can either commit super hard to tier 1 tech units, for lack of a better term, right? More expensive units. Or you can go for, you know, something a little bit more cheesy, in some ways, anyway. Hey, he found the worker! Ah, but he just saw the Quasi. Maybe he didn't see it. Well, it doesn't matter. He's going to kill it anyway. So now only down to just the 2 Quasis. The Nathicors will tickle them a little bit on the way out. This is what I mean when I'm talking about like them giving chase. You can see how they're much better at giving chase than they are attacking a stationary target. So Shambler's got to be a little bit careful here. I think he's going to end up losing his second Quasi. Yep, okay. So down to only the 2, but he did make a couple more back at home. He's adding a probably anti-surface defense. And he has some Skiths. Now, I think the Skiths were a response to him thinking that he was going to be Nathal End or something, where there's going to be a lot of the air units. But they are markedly less useful at splashing ground units. However, they can still, you know, take a lot of damage from things like Quasis. So that's its own thing. Some Hydras are here as well. Those will deal pretty well with the Quasi. They're just much better at general combat. Now, once again, you see over here, Hamster has elected to saturate the middle of the map. He's sending 3 more workers out there. He doesn't necessarily have the map control to back this up, but if he manages to get his units up there, unfortunately they are experiencing blizzard pathing. He will have to think about how he's going to sort of keep this structure alive over here, keep this location alive. But that's assuming Shambler has the wherewithal to check. And it looks like he does. Yeah, this is the evolution of the meta on Derelict specifically. So yeah, the workers are indeed going to have to evacuate. Not sure that he didn't have the vision to check that other one, but I think he might have a suspicion. Hey, you were mining. Well, also, I think the overlay kind of gave it away there. Competitive integrity on... Well, no, wait, I'm dumb. That overlay didn't exist in when these games were played, so never mind. He just had to intuit that. Yeah, because when it just kicks in, it doesn't desync or anything if you don't have it. So it's like totally just some overlays that get added, right? So, kind of funny. Kind of goofy. Quasi's massing up in the main. I'm not sure if the Skithricors showed themselves yet, but we do have some Spraiths. And we have a Kagran over here. I wonder what this is for. This might be like anti-run by or something. Feels like a lot of static defense from Hamster. Shambler adding a 4th hatch. We already have... Oh, actually, we don't have a 4th hatch coming yet for Hamster, despite having the money. But he does have the ability to tech up now. So don't be surprised if we end up seeing that. He has the resources for it. This bug where like the player color was wrong for the egg remnants has been fixed, and honestly, it looks really nice. You would never notice that it was ever wrong to begin with, but it was wrong, and now it is not wrong. Skits are going to come in here just to see what they can do, but obviously there's a Spraith out, and there's actually not that many workers over here in the main. Looks like more just hatched, so Hamster coming back into it, but yeah, the tech up timing is real. Part of that is due to the Hydrith and the gas units that were made from the Hydrith, but also part of it is due to the fact that the middle of the map was harvested. Now, this is an opportunity for Shambler to get a little bit back into things, although he's only got 4 of his 5 workers over here harvesting it. I'm not 100% sure how this is gonna get wrangled, honestly. Like, what's gonna happen here? He's got to watch out. Yeah, there's too many. I think he's just got to commit now, and he doesn't have the data. That's a little frustrating for Shambler. Doesn't even manage to get out. There's the Skithricor is like a split decision unit. Hey, look at that. He's Warcraft 3ing that Hydralisk. Unfortunately, his own units are stuttering a little bit, but Shambler had the reaction time of a snail, so that didn't end up working out for him. Does end up losing a Hydra for nothing. But yeah, some people think the Skithricor is really good and broken, like Hapsaya, and some people think it's fucking useless, like Shambler. And it's just funny to me. It's just funny to me. So, anyway, Shambler does have his tier 2 on the way. But again, it is behind. We've got extra macro hatches dropping. We've got a Mutat Spire dropping. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up seeing mass Muta, right? Especially with these Nats confirming. I mean, they can fly over here and see about where the eye roll might be. Well, they are going to commit and see that. Okay. And they can if they click on the HP, right? If Hamster clicks on that, he'll see like, okay, it's about halfway done, right? Or thereabouts. You know, maybe a little bit more than that. And so that's going to be a really important value for him to figure out. But the Mutas are coming. And in Cosmonic Brood War, Mutalisks are 2 per egg instead of 1. So, sort of like the Nathricor or the Zethicor, obviously the Zergling, right? This Quasi is burrowed. I guess it's giving him some vision of the units moving up over here, right? So it's actually in a really nice spot there. And that passive minimap awareness will be quite beneficial to know that a lot of the units that are being rallied out right now are, you know, it's Hydras, and it's probably going to turn into Bactyls at some point. But Shambler's going to try to attack a little bit sooner. The obvious position here for the Quasis is going to benefit from him. And now, 14 Mutas out. They can dog the Hydras. I still wouldn't like this attack if I'm Hamster. I would like to maybe pull away and just pick off the units that are coming in. And then most importantly, to maybe shut down this third base so you don't get too far behind economically speaking. Kaffirlosks are on the way, but is it only... Yeah, it's just one of them right now. Might see some advanced defenses, but... The Kaffirlosk, without any mutated structures here, I don't know what is going to be the plan. Looks like the middle of the map will get shut down. This is as good a place as any to dedicate some of your air. But 22 Mutas, I mean, again, that's a lot. A lot of minerals, especially, to dedicate in. And when you're only on 2-base eco, this can be very deadly. But you can see how much respect Shambler is giving. He's totally ceded control in the middle of the map. Quasis are on the way, but there's 26 Mutas. You know, more and more are flocking over, and the anti-air defenses are nowhere near finished. So I feel like this timing has given Hamster a pretty decided advantage. Yep, that's going to be the third base shutdown. Now, Shambler's not necessarily completely out of it, but it feels like with the Back to the Swamp being so late, where the Kaffirlosk finished first, like, what can you even make in this situation? He didn't upgrade most of his anti-air defenses, so that's not going to help him too much. The Mutas are going to... Some of them are going to end up dying here just to the Spraits, which is a little unfortunate. He's really underestimating their weapon range, I think. People get surprised by that all the time, even though it's been like that for, I want to say, 2 months now. It did used to be a little bit lower. I think Hamster played... He found the project when it was already increased, though. So. Yeah, the workers going down here are pretty critical. Shambler cycling up his units to respond, but with the yeah, all the units dying, anti-air dying. Now his units have to get over here. There was like a Vorv in the middle of that for some reason, blocking some unit pathing. And yeah, the bounce attacks alone are going to be pretty deadly here. He's just got too many Mutas. He's going to take out the eye roll, which, you know, you have the tech nodes necessary, but this is so far behind. Shambler had the mid for a lot longer than his opponent, so I wonder why he feels that way. But no GG, but none required. Hamster takes the game, and you know what that means. We go to the final game of this 3-map set. We're heading to a different map this time around. It's going to be Hamster versus the Shambler on Sideshow, and the Shambler is in the bottom right. Hamster in the top left. Red versus blue, we love to see it. We also love to sip. If you want to give me more of those, you know where to go. The link in the bottom right. Funding project development. Shout out to BiddyB and 3Crow for taking out bounties recently. That's another thing you can do. If there's something specific about the project that you want to focus development efforts on, within reason, and, you know, sometimes it's a harder task than others, but it really depends on what it is. That is a situation where you can expect that throwing some cash money at me can sometimes help with that. So, you know, obviously reach out to me first, talk to me about what the task is, and I'll tell you if it's actually reasonable or, like, if it's feasible to do, and what would be the specifications or whatever, but then it's just whatever price you think is fair. Pretty cool stuff. And I also have to level with you guys. I put the Shambler up in the lead for these matches because I figured, okay, Shambler's had time to practice, and he's got the longevity. So even though Hamster defeated him in recent history, and the maps didn't necessarily look super competitive, it still was close enough that, and Hamster is new enough that I figured maybe Shambler came back with it. But at this point, especially with the awareness of the tech, like the refusal to do anything but make Calculusks in that first match. Right now, this matchup I have to give to Hamster. He is also harvesting some Vespene. I say some, he's got a lot of workers on it. So it looks like he might be doing the same build as before, where he goes for the double Nath into something else. And the response from the Shambler is to use his scouting worker to make a Kagran. Now you pull 2 workers to deal with this. He's actually going to pull a 3rd one just to force the cancel. It's not terrible, but yeah, it definitely means that you're losing some mining time, right? So away we go. Now he did actually get a worker returning. Yeah, he realized it a little bit there. No Vespene in the middle of the map to harvest. Unbelievable. Shouldn't every map have that? Just riffing off of what Shambler said earlier. And Shambler almost forgot to put his worker in the burrow spot. But in doing so, he will scout out the first pair of Naths. Now, Hamster doesn't seem to have realized, and obviously his worker isn't going to reveal it for him, but he is taking a natural. Macro hatch coming for Shambler a little bit faster. And he's already got the Spraith on the way, because he did end up scouting it this time, as well as a much healthier number of Quasis. But this is also just 2 Naths. So it's really only here to rescout and see what's going on. You know, confirming no natural. And actually maybe picking off this straggler Quasi for some reason. No, he doesn't end up committing for it. He could have committed for it and then left, but I don't know if he clocked how much HP the unit had, right? That's another thing that maybe we should add to the... I have this page in the Trello. I'm documenting things that we want to do in the... I guess the long term. Well, it's kind of short term. It's just the couple months break that we have between Ascension number 7 concluding and the 8th tournament that we end up casting and setting up. And one of the things that I was thinking about was finding... How would you describe it? Oh, he's going to bring this worker home and use the Quasi to burrow instead. But yeah, I think it was something to the effect of like, find some way to always show HP bars. All right, so that is documented now. Because that's obviously something where we wanted it for a while, but yet another thing that requires a lot of reverse engineering, right? Quasis are going to come down here. They will spot the burrow, but it's still good enough for the move out. Eventually, I think people are just going to like check this general vicinity, like a lot, with like a couple of units, just quickly patrol or whatever. Doesn't take that much APM to do, and it will save you a lot of headache in the future. But this Quasi move out, I mean, it's 8 Quasis. It can definitely do some damage. It's mostly here just to force out response units, so that Shambler doesn't droll up a lot. But with the expansion already up and running for Hamster, again, he has access to more Vespene if he wants it. And he also has access to an extra hatch. So his hatch is actually a little bit faster than Shambler's expansion hatch. Unfortunately, though, it looks like many of the, like half of the Quasis that came over here just ended up dying for no good reason. But again, their move out was still good. It was still effective. With the Spraith here, you're not going to see too much, but the Nathocores are just going to move over here and see what they can find. One of them escapes with a scant bit of HP. I don't know if I think he might want to confirm the expansion timing or whatever, but not able to do so yet. Quasi's moving out in a pretty proactive way. If that was his goal, he could have looped back around and try to go in from that angle. But I just wanted to see if there was any other tech coming, right? If you see a Hydrith or a Zorkaz or whatever, you can kind of prepare. Shambler once again up on workers, but another hatch coming very fast for Hamster, trying to maintain that production advantage. And after a certain point, right, you do hit like diminishing returns on the workers. So at that point, the main is already well situated. Hamster is spending a number of his, a little bit of Vespene here, or at least, I guess he's just not harvesting that much of it, and only recently started. His ridges are idle. Not interested in dedicating workers on those just yet. And we have another hatch coming for the Shambler to equalize 4 hatches on either side. Starting to add some pocket defenses over here. Not a bad show. More workers being sent down over here. So, you know, relatively even, you know. It's dead even right now in terms of workers, and Hamster's just hatched. Obviously, the double Circuith over here is going to shut down any Quasi attacks. I think this is kind of like a handshake from either player. They're saying, we don't really want to go for anything early game tier 1. We're both going to try to rush up for the tech in that sense. Quasi coming in over here just to see what's going on. Ends up spotting some idle workers. Trying to have a field day. He might get a kill, but it doesn't look like it. He's just going to use it for a scout. There's no anti-surface just yet. Yeah, what's going on over here, buddy? How we doing? Yeah, just going to sit back. You just never expect this, right? It's like, what? The one time I don't have static defense over here. The workers are angry. They're in a frenzy. There's quasis over here. This is costing Shambler a lot of time. Oh, he's going to lose a worker. Unbelievable. Now, I guess it also took APM from Hamster, right? But look, he even burrowed. Yeah, this is like maximum amount of time lost and annoyance. Blood pressure rising. Lot of minerals here, but the tier 2 does get started at around the same time. I think, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I think Shambler would have been further ahead on his tier 2 if it weren't for all of that distraction. Now, I didn't really look at the resources during that. It just feels really hard to imagine that that he couldn't do something about that a little bit earlier. Now, we will have an expansion for both players. There is this quasi over here, but it's not going to stop the Expo going down, so... Nice secondary burrowed scout on the ramp. We don't have any other tech coming, so no Hydrith, nothing at all. It's kind of puzzling to me. Like, if I'm in a ZVZ, I probably am a little bit more of an early game player insofar as I like the tier 1 stuff. I like playing around at it. I don't necessarily feel the need to rush it. And I feel like also I delay my opponent's tier 1 with good, or tier 2 with like good usage of my own tier 1 stuff. So if I go for a Hydrith and I then make like, you know, 10 Hydras on 2 bases or something, I can probably bust the circuits. The Mass Quasi is a bit of a different concern, but, you know, then I guess you might want to do Lakizalisk instead. I feel like that can also work, but it's obviously very gas intensive, so you need it to work. And that's a little bit more like, I'm in hot water if this doesn't work out, right? So a horde of Quasis posturing over the big bridge on the left. Nathakor continuing to watch the right side of the map. Now, I noticed that some people say, like I think it was Sipiak who voiced this concern about Sideshow. He says that it's kind of a gamble when you move out. And I feel like Shambler's illustrating one way that you can deal with this, where you just have like pretty good coverage with where to put your units, right? So he's got a Quasi on this side for emergency if they wrap all the way around and don't go over this. And otherwise, you know, he's got kind of just setting stuff up. You know, he's getting his Mutath, double Kaffirlosk. He does have the Kalkir. He also has a Hydrith, but it's not evolved. We'll see if that changes later on. Meanwhile, the tech over here is, you know, well, okay, Kaffirlosks. But it's just a Kalkir, nothing else. So, staying with the one tech node for now. That's interesting. It will be some Calculisks to support the Quasis. I noticed that people were discussing whether Lyralisks were particularly useful or good purchases, and I think probably the gas cost on them is a little bit prohibitive, but if I lower it to 25 from 50, the gas cost on them becomes so permissive that I think they become really, really powerful, overly so. So I guess maybe a slight nerf to their stats, but making it so that they're a little bit cheaper on gas might help. I think the Bactylisk is still 50 gas. So separating them out like that, making them feel a little bit more spammable, but also reducing their individual significance might be a good play. Just sort of thinking out loud about that, you know, not necessarily committed to one pattern or another in terms of what might change. Speaking of, though, capping geysers, not a bad play. Calculisks hatching out from these Kaffirlosk eggs and already starting to rain terror upon Shambler's Quasis. This is a good spot for them to be in because they're very, very much abusing the pathfinding and the low weapon range of these Quasis. There's a Hamster Quasi that will remain spying. Alright, right now it's a handshake onto the Calculisk fight, which obviously is very volatile. Oh, Hamster's being so bold with these. I don't know if I agree with that. The Scorchets are here. As a result, the Quasis are not going to survive for very much longer. Shambler is losing a lot of his own Calculisks, though, because the Quasis were taking the initial damage. And now, in theory... Yeah, he can maybe try to pick off some of these defenses, but that Spraith made there is not going to work out too well. This Nath could discover 6 o'clock. At the same time, 12 o'clock is going up, so our players are expanding in the same direction. But we do have a horde of Zeths pathed over here. Oh, okay. It looks like they'll take the conventional path to the 3rd, though. They just won't be going over the bridge. I wonder what the significance of that is. No, they're actually going to path over here. That's going to be interesting, because workers are only now sending over there. But the wounded Calculusks are going to make it over here. Looks like he's going to discover that his opponent is indeed expanding in the mirrored location of where he is, right? So he's taking 12 while Shambler's taking 6. Hamster still in the dark about the 6 o'clock, but presumably not for long. Yeah, with the Mutath out, I wonder what the tech will actually be. Adding more Kaffirlosks to the equation. I think maybe Shambler should have learned his... yeah, he's getting the Hydrith, right? And paradoxically, Hamster now choosing to avoid doing the tech. So far, anyway. I wonder if he thinks he can hit, like, a timing or something. But no, here comes the Hydrith and the Zorkas. So going for all the Tier 1 stuff. No Mutath yet for him. No Almakis. And certainly no Alcag. Probably sounds like I'm just speaking another language to most people who have no idea what the Zerg tech tree looks like. But don't worry. It's very expansive. And you'll figure it out later. I wonder what the Zorkas is for. Maybe it's for Zorius? Like, just add padding to your ground army so you can sustain through any quasis or whatever. And in that front, I do feel like Lyrilisks could be really good to overpower a ground army if you already have a bunch of quasis anyway. The Zets, unfortunately, are just going to walk straight into the firing line. They are being absolutely destroyed. I don't actually know what's going on with their pathing, to be honest, but something stupid was happening. I think he might have had them in a control group and was constantly, like, retasking them. And now his Calculusks are going to get totally sandwiched over here. And there it goes. All of them gone. 16 remaining here for Hamster. But the static defense is in a pretty good spot for Shambler. I really don't think 6 o'clock can be taken any further. Additional hatches being put down in the low ground. This is kind of what I envisioned for the mid-game of Sideshow, is that people would start trying to really take and hold these ramps. And these are the only avenues into your main base, right? And then start to figure out where to expand. Or am I going to go to 12 and 6? Am I going to go to... 3 and 9, but 3 and 9 are currently unoccupied. Stands 2 quasis standing guard. Bottom left being taken by Shambler. This has double gas, so can be more valuable for Zerg. Or just in general, depending on your build. This is a pseudo rally point over here. And again, you really want to be cautious about clumping up all your units. So there's a little bit of an attempted spread here preemptively, as Hamster does indeed expect Shambler to attack. But look, Shambler himself deciding, oh yeah, it's great, I'll just stack up all my units over here, and then wonder why they died. Now, at the same time, his Spear Tits really helped him out there, and Hamster's army will indeed be BTFO'd. Some Lakizzles are going to go ahead and burrow over here, and I think maybe that is a sign that Hamster has designs on 9 o'clock. One quasi up here in top right. Shambler playing pretty well, controlling the map. Nobody yet even thinking about taking the middle. Nablime was actually saying that he thinks that if you take the middle, say you're the top player, you take the top middle, then you probably are already going to win. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. I feel like in TVT, you could definitely see situations where taking the middle lets you, like, sort of hold it. I mean, maybe Diadems come out and, like, outrange it. I guess it probably depends on where you build them. I think maybe a Diadem here can attack this. I'm not 100% sure. But until Tier 3 hits, I think you can take that base. And then there's, of course, the idea that, like, hey, I should... He's got a borrowed work over here. I guess he could take top right with that. Air units responding to this presence. Quasi's over here at 3 o'clock going to get bopped. So you can try to go in over here, but there are, again, Spear Tits. I would prefer Bactyls over here, honestly. You just kill the workers on the minerals, right? But it looks like instead he's responding to the threat. Hamster can just focus down on the stack. And it looks like that's going to be pretty good. He even does a pretty good split of his own. He's a little bit faster than Shambler at that. The mutas go down, so that's actually kind of interesting that he ended up targeting those. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but targeting out down the mutas are pretty good for specifically reducing the speed at which your opponent's army can move around, right? We've got a horde of Bactyls coming out of these Kaffirlosks. Obviously, at some point, they get to a stack of A-move where they can just sort of destroy these wounded and weak Calculusks in general. They're not very tanky. A hatch coming down over here on the middle ground as bottom left is fully taken and double gas capped. Looks like right now it's, yeah, it's actually fully saturated as far as the gas goes. We also have some defenses coming in at 9 o'clock. So that's the base that has been taken by Hamster. Looking around for when the tier 3 timing is going to hit. But it looks like it's not for very long. Hamster's halfway there, but he might be spending more of that Vespene pretty soon. Yeah, all these Calculists are just going to go completely kaput. But he needs to respond to this threat over here. I mean, it's only the 3 Calcs, so, or 4 it looks like. So it's going to take too long for them to actually do too much damage. But obviously he needs to saturate this gas so that he can catch up. You can see how fast Shambler's gas count is catching up at this point, right? Bactylus Cord is indeed going to impinge upon that. He might have to spend some of that Vespene. Indeed he does. End up spending about 300 of it on a rotation of Bactyls of his own. He's got some anti-service defenses, but none currently up at the high ground position. So if that's where Hamster goes, he actually can exploit a timing, but I think he's a little bit paranoid about a counterattack. His next set of units is all going to be workers, so it's going to be a little bit before he can move out. And honestly, the Vithrilisks, as good as they are in the air case, are not going to be super good at busting the bases, right? So we have the Bactyls coming in from the right side. I feel like the range bonus is really going to impinge here. Like, this never turned into any defenses. And so, as a result, that's going to be a bit of an awkward position, right? Because most of Hamster's army, they can deal with the circuits eventually. It looks like they're going to try to commit to it, but he's going to basically be trading 12 o'clock for the bottom left. And I guess this matters a bit more for Shambler, right? If we think about it. Hamster is very, very close to being able to tech up, and denying this double gas base, if he can, is going to be huge. So I actually don't mind the situation. We've got Tetzoricors going, I think, kind of the wrong way if they wanted to help out this base. Tetzoricors, by the way, just shit on Bactylisks. I think this number would be able to deal with them, but they're really good. Yeah, this base is going to go down. No more gas mining from the double gas from Shambler. My dog is very displeased by this, so you may hear him grumble and moan. More units rallying out over here. The Tetzoricors are being shredded eventually. And yeah, okay, I think this trade is actually pretty good for Hamster. He could be teching up right now. That's the biggest thing, is he's forgotten that window, and actually Shambler's going to tech up faster than him. You just saw 1,800 gas go down the drain, and Hamster has not done that yet, right? Now, unfortunately for Shambler, his next stack of military is just about to get absolutely annihilated. The armor rend is too high, and yeah, he lost the Viths, but Hamster still has the armor rend on all of these units, so, you know, it doesn't last forever, and it's now gone, but that was still more than enough for... I think here, like, Hamster can just A-move and finish this off. Yeah. He's actually trying to draw him in so that the Scortrits and stuff help out, but I don't know if it was even necessary. I think he actually lost a little bit more there doing that. Now, unfortunately for Hamster, he's sent his next couple of combat units out and ignored the threat that is progressively impinging upon his third. And this is where the trade stops being good, because again, his tier 3 is delayed. He does end up getting it, but it's going to be late. So at this point, the timing is favoring, and now the base count is favoring Shambler. Losing 12 o'clock means that you're on even bases because you shut down bottom left. But Shambler can get that up and running a bit faster, and now you've lost the hatch over here to all these Zeths. I think it's going to be... no, actually, right now, it looks like Shambler is trying to kill the Zeth, the Tetzorco, rather. Good luck, dude. Not going to happen. So, okay, this base stays alive. You can re-drill it. You know, that's just one production cycle or so. Well, maybe a little bit more, though, because remember, the Kaffirlosks are here, impinging upon the number of Droleth production that you can do. Right? Like, there's not as many macro hatches and general, like, additional Hatcherosks. Yeah, fuck that Excisin. I don't know what you're doing, dude. What? Why did he do that? What the fuck? Question mark? Yeah, I think Hamster might be a bit confused. There's no reason to do that one, but, you know. Maybe it'll encourage him to spend his gas. He's like, fuck it, dude. I don't need it. However, I do need to pause so I can tell my dog to wake up. Alright, well, that was easy. Aww. He's doing the dumb move. There's a point where, you know, he looks like a normal dog, and then he kind of, like, brings his paws up like this, and just smushes his own face, and by the time he finishes the smush, he's like, aww. And it's very dumb. He fits in with the family. I'll tell you that much. Some Zoryus are here, so some say they are still fighting to this day. That's pretty fun. I feel like the Tets could just, like, walk in and start shredding bases at this point. Like, there's no anti-surface defense over here whatsoever. But it's actually going to be Teth v Teth. That's a real, some say they are fighting to this day. Jesus Christ. What am I about to watch? Well, there is an Ultrav Cavern coming. I don't think that's going to be in the cards here. It's just Gezkath for Shambler. Dude, imagine... I think Zarkavrakors probably could defeat Alcagelisks, honestly. Because they close the distance pretty fast. Alright, the big slap fight is occurring. Who's going to win? who can possibly win this fight? They're just too powerful. They stay alive for too long. But there's Lachesis, and there's Calculusks, and nothing in this army attacks up. So eventually, Shambler's army will fall. It's a question of how many times can they spin beforehand. My god, man. Yeah, he needs to come down here and deal with bottom left, honestly. Tathalors. Goodbye. A famine has struck Ireland. Oh, he's got some pretty good anti-service defense down there, though. Trying to take 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock being reclaimed, the space being resaturated, but not capped again. Unfortunate. He never capped this one, either. Alright, Shambler has gone for, I think... Actually, don't know. I was looking around for his gas expenditure, but... Oh, I guess it's over here, yeah? Yeah, okay, he's got like 5 Alcaedolisks coming out of this location. What's the reaction here? Where are the... whatever, what is being made? Ultralisks, Ultra Cores. Yeah, Ultralisk is a better name, honestly. What a deep cut. Okay, so the hatch is going to die. Probably in the process fixing the Kagra spread bug that we see every now and then. And, well, he can stick around and kill these Excisants. Why not? The Alcaedolisks are going to take this opportunity to attack the Calcas, and there's no Viths, so this army will indeed be slapped. So he knows his opponent is tier 3. There's still a Goswell down there, funnily enough. That's Oricor sitting here like, what? You actually did damage to me? That's like when somebody survives One Punch Man's one punch. Alright, we do have 9 Ultra Cores. Dude, I want to see these just waypoint into a base and start wrecking shit. Preferably a base that is not near the Alcaedolisks, right? Because obviously this base is going to fall at 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. 3 o'clock is being taken, but there's nothing on it yet. So we're still on basically 4 bases, with this one being saturated, versus 4 bases, right? Now the Ultra Cores are actually going to come in here, but the Alcaedolisks can't do anything. Now here come the Zarkava Cores. Now they deal splash. Oh my god! Oh my god, they're biting! Oh my god! And they're reducing the number of bounces. The Zarkava Cores finding a way to defeat the Alcaedolisks. And Shambler once again like, but I built the OP unit. Why ain't it win? You know what I mean? Don't worry, dude. Here come Ultra Cores. We finally get to see them. We finally get to see them. You know, that means in 2 out of the 3 games we casted, we hit tier 3 in ZVZ. That's a beautiful little something or other. That's pretty epic. You can't kill the Ultra Cores. Well, he kills one of them because it wasn't attacking anything, you know. He's just gonna mass up, just gonna deal with this. Yeah, fuck these Teths. So he wipes this area, this plateau. That's like a reinforcement point, basically. Still nothing happening over here at 3. Looks like the Zarkava Cores were bruised enough. So if you can get the engage onto them, then that can be a pretty good point. Yeah, you can see they're actually getting killed. So they still both deal damage, and you do need like a pretty good stack of them, basically. But we have a Mutath Spire coming. I wonder what the Mutath Spire is for at this point. Maybe he's going to upgrade it into Tazral Han or something. Yeah, he commits the last of his wounded Zarkava Cores just to delay this push a little bit more. He's been getting the Vespene throughout this whole affair, but obviously that's going to go down now. And just snipe the hatch and back off. Finally starting to send some workers over here, but I feel like it might be a bit too late. This is another thing, right? Like, I really wanted Hamster to just send these Ultrox over here to the right and just, like, start shitting on, like, 3 o'clock, maybe the Natural, start impinging upon this area. We've got a Nidus here, but it doesn't have anything in it. No connection yet. And unfortunately, there's, like, one Alcaedolisк over here that's just going to get absolutely destroyed. And there you go. So 3 o'clock is down. Once again, sticking to 4 bases, but the Natural is being destroyed right now. So what's the reaction? We've got Viths coming, but there's actually not that many units. Like, look at the army counts, right? Trying to commit the Zets onto the Alcaedolisks is a bit of a risky proposition here, but they are doing stack damage, I guess. Yeah, one last salvo on the way out just kills 3 of them. That's huge. And I feel like maybe Hamster underestimated the power of the Alcaedolisks, and even if he gets the Viths, what's he going to do with them? Like, there's nothing to support them at this point. There's no Bactyls. He's got a lot of money, but he's not really spending it on anything. And now his tech is going to get destroyed. Okay, he gets the Tazral Haunt off, but in one shot, it's already destroyed. So, again, this is kind of where you needed to see... What's he doing? He's he was on a nothing command. He might have been on hold position or something. I didn't see an order line or anything. Well, who knows? Absolutely slapped. It wouldn't. I don't think that would have mattered. He maybe would have killed one of them. Yeah, I think Shambler's been able to clutch this out with the space whales. Honestly, this is Ahsoka from Disney Plus. I haven't watched that show, but I've heard it's stupid. Yeah, losing the Authsol is a pretty critical piece. Just doesn't have the what he needs here. He's got a bunch of Vits, but he needs to close the distance on them so they don't get the bounce attacks. And here they come. I would be moving them in between shots for sure. Shambler is going to end up losing one, but there they all go. That surely has to be GG. Sent the Ultra Cores down, finally being somewhat disruptive to this 12 o'clock base, right? Cutting into the economy, but it's too late now. You lost all your tech. The Ultrav is going down, and that has to be it. Shambler manages to get on the board at the very end of this set, but if this were a best of 3, he would have already lost long ago. And not only that, if this were a best of 5, Hamster would only have to do one more match. So I think you see who's favored so far, but we do have another set between these two to cast. I don't know if we'll cast them before they potentially meet later on in the tournament that is currently ongoing, Ascension number 7, but maybe. It could be like a upper semifinal number 2 preview or something. You never know what's going to happen. So I will catch you guys later on for more casts. Thanks for hanging out, and until then, stay tuned to the server, to the project, to the tournament. We're going to continue making this something epic. Cheers.